My guest this afternoon is a dear friend of mine, Larry Pinckney. Now Larry's about my age. He's a few years older than I am, but he's a veteran of the Black Panther Party, the former Minister of Interior for the Republic of New Africa, a former political prisoner, and the only American to have successfully self-authored his civil political rights case to the United Nations under the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. He won that case before the United Nations. And in connection with his political organizing activities, Larry was interviewed in 1988 by PBS NewsHour, formerly known as the McNeil-Lear Report. Many of you will remember that. And he, more recently, just a few weeks ago, actually, maybe a month or so ago, was interviewed on the syndicated Alex Jones show. And he's been interviewed all over the nation, from coast to coast, TV and radio. He's a former university instructor of political science and international relations, and his writings have been published in various places all over the United States and around the world. Larry Pinckney, my dear friend, I've had the pleasure of being in his home with him. Brandon Big B and I were. We were in his home with he and his precious wife, and he has been a guest on Freedom Friday several times. He's a thinker, a pragmatician. He is an opiner extraordinaire, and as I have said several times, I count him as a dear friend. Larry, thanks for being on Freedom Friday today.
Well, my brother Carl, wow, what can I say? I am honored and delighted. You know how much I respect and have such high esteem for both you and Brandon. It's always a delight, always an honor, because we've got to really bring this thing together, take it to another level, bring our folks, our people, everyday people together. So thank you. So, you know, I have to really just turn around everything that you said and push it right back on you, because, you know, this didn't just happen. It has happened. When I say this, I mean we're together. We're fighting this struggle on behalf of ourselves and just everyday people. So Thank you so much, bro. Love you very much.
Well, God bless you. I appreciate those kind words. And, you know, you said something a moment ago, Larry, about bringing this thing together. And this thing is this constitutional republic, and this experiment, one nation under God, that the world has never seen the likes of, the prosperity, the power, and the good that it has done in the history of the world. Now, America has been the birth of a lot of evil, too. But it has dealt with most of its evil and is still dealing with it, unlike many other nations of the world. And so I'm not saying America's perfect. I'm not saying that it's a piece of heaven. What Larry and I think I'm speaking for Larry here, is we're saying we'd rather live nowhere else in the world. And can you imagine the world without an America? Why is it that millions and millions and millions of people are beating our borders down to get in? We don't have to build fences to keep people out. No other nation in the world has millions and millions and millions of people beating its borders down to come in. America is the land of opportunity. It is the land of freedom, and there are strong evil forces trying to destroy all of that. Larry, do you agree? You feel free to disagree with anything I've said, man.
Well, no, I don't disagree, and yes, I do agree. Let me just put it this way. I want to hone in on what you said about evil forces. You know, they are formidable evil forces. There are formidable evil forces that have distorted the U.S. Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution. They have distorted the legacy of this country. Of course, I agree with you that the United States has made serious mistakes, but can you tell me of any country that hasn't?
Right.
And, you know, our job, our task is to use the language of young folk these days, is to tweak it and make it better, not worse, not play on fear. You know, that's what our job is all about.
Thank you.
You know, so that's where I'm coming from.
Well, what do you think about Caesar Obama's amnesty decree? I mean, it's not really technically amnesty. I mean, he didn't just suspend all laws and say you're all legal, everybody go down and get a driver's license. He didn't say that. He didn't have the legal authority to do that. But he did something almost close to that that's going to have lasting effects. What are your thoughts on this? How are you analyzing what Obama did last night?
Well, what Obama did is a travesty. Now, let me explain why I say it's a travesty. First of all, you do not sidestep the American people, okay? And instead of sidestepping them, particularly when it comes to an issue or a concern that is as contentious as this particular concern.
It goes to our national security. You're absolutely right.
Okay, you just don't sidestep the American people. You don't do that. Secondly, I just have to be blunt and say that Obama's action is really, I'm saying in reality, it's nothing more than a cynical political ploy to further destabilize this nation economically and culturally. And it's meant to keep everyday black, white, brown, red, and yellow people divided. And at each other's throat.
Right.
We've got to remember, my brother Carl, we've got to remember who drone man, Mr. Kill List, Barack Obama actually is. And
right.
who he is the master of subterfuge and doublespeak. So by him taking that action that he took, he knows full well that this is contentious. He knows full well that there has not been a prolonged and open and serious debate about this. But he also knows that by doing this, he can keep people divided.
Right.
And if you can keep us divided, then you can control and manipulate us.
So you're telling me that I'm not losing my ever-loving mind, that this guy truly is doing this on purpose.
Of course.
Well, because, listen, 6 years ago, when he went in office, I told people that this is the kind of man that he was and is, and I was called a racist, I was trashed, I was lampooned, I was lambasted on the radio and all over the internet. And in these last 6 years, every time he's done something like this, I've said, folks, listen, I was saying this before Rush Limbaugh was saying it. Rush is famous for saying, for kind of turning the corner in the mainstream media and saying, you know what, I think he's doing this on purpose. And the mainstream media went crazy. But I was saying that before he was, and many of us were, and we were saying, look, this either he is the dumbest man alive or he's doing this on purpose. Well, I got news for you. He's not dumb. So guess what?
I mean, you're right. He's not dumb, and he knows precisely what he is doing, and he is playing very deliberately on, as I said, a very, very contentious and divisive issue in, having an open, prolonged, open, serious, and informed debate. No. Right. He knows tactically and strategically precisely what he's doing. What's important, though, is that we should know what he's doing,
right,
and really inform other people. I don't care whether Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Independent. I don't care.
Right.
People need to know what this man is about, understand what he does and how he does it.
Well, as a matter of fact, Larry, let's talk about what he did last night. We said people need to understand what he did. All right, let me lay out what I think the issue is here, the foundation, and then you weigh in. Now, if you disagree, or if you have another take on it, or if you have more information than I do, please weigh in. I mean, you and I've been talking for years. I don't mind. I want to be accurate. I don't mind being corrected. But this is what I think. I don't think what he did last night. He doesn't have the ability to enforce or the legal authority to just grant complete amnesty and tell all the illegals, hey, tomorrow go down and get driver's licenses. Tomorrow, go down and get your voter's registration cards. I'm giving you complete amnesty. He doesn't have that. But what he did, he used his executive authority, his executive powers to go to the various executive branches that would otherwise enforce immigration laws. And he basically said, do not deport these people. Do not. I'm your boss. Under executive order, I'm telling you, suspend these laws as long as I'm in office. Now, in so doing, he's made sheriffs look like fools. He's made governors look like fools. He's made honest employers who have been holding off on employing illegals look like fools. He has made America's citizens who are minorities, blacks, Hispanics, and Asians, made them look like fools. He has made Hispanics who are in this nation legally in line trying to get their citizenship, he's made them look like fools by saying, I'm not going to enforce the law. In other words, he just committed a lawless act. That's what I see happen. Am I right? Am I wrong? What do you say?
Well, my take on it, I have a very, very dear friend who's a Chicano. Well, I have a number of friends who are Chicanos and Chicanas, so-called Mexican Americans.
Right.
But, okay. And I always touch base with him to talk about this. And I'll tell you what he said to me. He said, Larry, the bottom line is this man is nothing more than a cynical opportunist. And he tells me about his family. Now, he's been in this country for generations. Uh-huh. But his family went through the procedure. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That
Thank you.
The law in order to become citizens. Now, my friend was born as a U.S. citizen, but his family, his parents went through the necessary, quote-unquote, legal procedure.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And so I was glad you said that he's making, Obama's action has made, I would say, black, white, brown, red, and yellow people.
Yes.
In this case, I was really glad you honed in on the quote-unquote Hispanic people, because he's making them look like fools, too, and he's trying to pimp them at the same time.
Right.
At the same time.
Right.
You have to understand Obama's game. He's not a fool. He knows what he's doing, and, this way he can keep us, divided, as I said, and at each other's throats. So,
right.
Why is it that it's important to be lawful, whenever he says it's important to be lawful, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But when he says, no, I disagree with that law, he has a right to disagree with the law. He does not have the right to trump it.
Right.
It's not a card game.
And to just not enforce it. Yeah.
Right. Okay? So this is what most, really, I want to just really emphasize this. I find this incredibly disturbing. And it should be disturbing to everyone. I don't care what their color is. It should be really, really disturbing to all people in this country, and most especially citizens. If he's playing this little technical game. I call it pimping. I mean, Obama is the master of subterfuge and pimping. He would make, in a political sense, he would make the famous pimp out of Detroit, Iceberg Slim, look like child's play.
Yeah.
The way he pimps the American people is outrageous.
Right. Well, listen, Larry, you've hit it right on the head. You absolutely have. And I've got more to say about it, but we're running right up to the time for a break. So let's take a break. When we come back, we want to wrap this conversation up, and I want to ask you a few more questions. Then let's get into analyzing what's going on in Ferguson, Missouri, another area where, by the way, the president, or let me quit using that term, Obama and Eric Holder interjected themselves in Ferguson, Missouri, thus bringing another element of this divisiveness and these allegations of racism. So let's analyze what's going on in Ferguson, what may happen, what may come down, and who's behind all of that when we come back from this break. Is that good with you, Larry?
That is great. Let's do it.
My guest this afternoon, former Black Panther and a writer, journalist, and all over TV and radio, my buddy Larry Pinckney. Larry, so here's what I'm thinking. I want to wrap this up because I want to move on to Ferguson. But I think the political, psychological, moral, and legal effects of what Obama did last night with this half amnesty that he presented, I think it's going to be devastating because look, I mean, people are going to be flooding the borders now saying, hey, I want me some of that. If I can just get in there. Obama has said he's not going to do anything to me as long as he's in office. So you got that to deal with. Second, you see executive orders. That means the next president can come in and rescind all of that. But then he's going to be the bad guy instantly to millions of people. And then we've got business owners and all these people who have been doing it legally, and Hispanics who've been waiting in line legally. They've just been stuck in the eye. I mean, this is horrible. The effects of this just go on and on because he basically refuses to enforce the laws that are on the book because he's a lawless man in the White House. Am I anywhere on base here at all?
Well, especially do I concur with you, my brother, when you talked about what this is actually doing to the country. You may recall I said a little bit earlier that I said it was a political ploy to further destabilize, was the word I believe I used, this nation. This is a part of the strategy of Obama's strategy to destabilize the nation. It's really not complicated. It's actually quite simple. So as long he wants to see black, white, brown, red, yellow folks, he wants to see us at each other's throats.
Right.
And he's using that, okay? People, instead of thinking, really critically thinking, okay, are actually reacting emotionally instead of critically thinking about what the repercussions actually are of this.
Right.
So, yeah, I have to agree.
Well, God, please help us. Lord God, please help us. Let's talk about Ferguson. So we've got a grand jury decision. I'm going to set it up, and then I'm going to turn you loose because I want to know what you think about it. But when I first heard all about this, see, I used to be a cop. You know that, Larry. I mean,
right. Yeah, I know.
While you were a Black Panther, I was a cop. I mean. But here you are. Here you are. A black man used to be a Black Panther. I'm a white guy, used to be a cop. And here we are years later, and we love each other. And we're on the radio together. And we want the same things for our families and our futures. And, it's amazing. I mean, Obama's not gonna come between us, right?
No way.
No way. All right, but anyway, so I used to be a cop. But look, I'm a truth seeker, as you are. I just want righteousness. I want truth. I want rightness. So when I heard about this officer shooting this kid, of course, you're getting all of this from mainstream media, and I don't believe anything they say anymore. But the first thing I thought was, if this officer shot that guy in the back, running away from him with his hands up, then that officer's in a world of hurt, probably needs to go to jail. I mean, because I was a cop, I know you don't do that. But now, after all these months go by, we find out through grand jury investigation and black witnesses, African-American witnesses, older people our age, a little younger, a little older, I mean, responsible adults coming forward now saying, no, we saw it and we know what happened and that's not what happened. And now the autopsy reveals he was not shot in the back. He was not shot at a long distance. Now what we find out is, more than likely, this dude was reaching through the window, beating that cop in the face, reaching for his gun and trying to kill the cop. Now the grand jury is getting ready probably to exonerate the cop, and people in Ferguson are threatening if they do that they're going to riot. I mean, do you see it differently, or is that the information you have? I mean, what's your take on Ferguson?
Well, my take on Ferguson, look, first of all, I wasn't there. You weren't there.
That's right.
We weren't there. So we've got to take a deep breath.
Yes.
And say, we really don't know. We can get reports of this and reports of that, okay? Be it pro-Michael Brown or be it anti-Michael Brown.
Right.
Okay, but what I'm looking at is how the corporate stream media, I call it the vomit stream media,
yeah, thanks.
is, pimping this issue, how they're playing this issue, okay? Instead of approaching it from a standpoint of bringing about, again, I go back to this thing of critical thinking, getting the people of our nation to critically think about this. No. They are going to hype up as much as they possibly can what may or may not have occurred in order to, again, play on people's emotions.
Yeah.
Okay? As a Panther, as a former Panther, and by the way, folks, I'm not talking about the so-called new Black Panther.
Right. Okay? No, there's a world of difference. Yeah. We've
Yeah,
only got about 40 seconds before we got to go, so go ahead.
I just want to say that I think that, well, it's my sustained hope that the people of all colors in this nation, no matter what the verdict in Ferguson turns out to be, I hope will not be duped by the corporate stream media into reacting like Pavlov's dogs.
Thank you.
Okay, all of us, regardless of our color,
right.
We are on the NDAA, NSA, police surveillance state plantation. And the only way we can get off this plantation, and by the way, that's all of us. I don't care about the color. All of us.
Thank you.
The only way we can get off that plantation is to put our perceived differences aside in favor of our common needs and interests.
Thank you, Larry. God bless you. Good word. I'm going to have you back on, Larry. We always run out of time. You're listening to Freedom Friday.